When hunters think of caribou, they typically think of Quebec. But Canada has another area for trophy bulls, the Northwest Territory. On this week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures, Steve West and his clients travel north to hunt trophy Central Barren Ground caribou bulls. Join us as we hunt the monster bulls of the north on another exciting episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Burris Optics and the Eliminator Laser Scope, Stormcloth 2 Performance Outerwear, Corbon DPX Ammunition, Kershaw Knives, the new Bresser 360 Trail Camera, Steiner Binoculars, Outdoor Trail Freeze-Dried Foods, Montana Decoy Company, CVA Muzzle Loaders, and UDAP Bear Pepper Spray.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. Today we have a special program for you folks. We're going to take you to the Northwest Territories in our search for the Central Canadian Barren Ground Caribou. As many of you who have followed this show for several years know, it's a trip that we make on an annual basis, simply because of the trophy hunting, and it's truly what we consider to be the finest trophy hunting of caribou found anywhere in the North Country. You see, there's a vast difference between the Northwest Territories and Quebec, in that Quebec focuses on the quantity of hunters that go there each season. In the Northwest Territories, due to a very restricted number of permits allocated each season, there's an emphasis placed on the quality of the experience and the trophy quality of the animals harvested. For example, last season, 16 of our clients harvested 32 bulls. Of those 32, 8 of them were large enough to qualify for the Boone and Crockett minimums. This is far greater than the norm, but it's a true example of what can happen when you travel to the Northwest Territories. Let's go now to the Barren Ground in search of trophy caribou.
Steve West, along with his clients Dave Schlotman and Brandon Eisen, began their adventure with a float plane ride from Yellowknife into base camp.
Got about an hour and 15-minute flight to camp. He throws that hammer down, we'll get you some.
After a scenic 1-hour plane ride, the base camp is spotted and the bush pilots touch down on the huge lake the hunters would call home for the next week. It was time to settle into the bunkhouses and meet the staff and guides. As the sun began to set, Steve, Dave, and Brandon checked the zero on their rifles in preparation for the next day's hunt.
He's right there.
Stay tuned to Steve's Outdoor Adventures. When we return, the caribou hunt begins, and Brandon Eisen finds himself face to face with a monster. Brandon begins his stalk on his first big game animal right after the break. We'll be right back. Now I know what you're thinking. Why is this guy pulling a boat across the tundra with an ATV? Well, Steve West will clear that up for you.
We flew the four-wheeler into this old ice road along with the trailer that we actually brought over here on a boat from the main cabins. We're using them to portage the boats between the two lakes. All part of the adventure.
Having to work hard to find the stalled migration, Steve and the crew covers miles upon miles of the lake until they run into what they've been looking for, migrating bull caribou.
I was able to share this hunt with my good friend David Schlotman and his grandson Brandon Eisen. It was Brandon's first big game hunt ever, and it was immediately decided that he would be the first hunter up.
All right, we're just cruising down the lake. Saw a really good bull. Actually, there's a whole bunch of bulls just over the hill here. I know I saw 4 or 5 at least. So what we're hoping is that we'll be able to go to the hill. We got bad wind. The one we want's got turn-bound kickers in the back, double shovels. Kind of narrow, but real tall. Real pretty bull. Never know.
Steve has spotted a nice bull just off the lake's edge, and he's hoping that client Brandon Eisen will get a chance to take his first big game animal.
We were working our way up the lake and we spotted some caribou. We went to shore and snuck up on them. It was a bachelor group of bulls, quite a few of them. And there were a couple of pretty good ones, but there was only one sure shooter.
Third to the right. Clear. Clear. To the left. Just clear. Third from the right. To the left. Now forward. Third from the back.
Brandon has chosen the bull with long kickers that curl down, but he has to wait for the bull to clear from the herd before taking an ethical shot. Brandon waits for his opportunity to shoot as the bull finally steps clear of the herd. Welcome back to Steve's Outdoor Adventures as we join client Brandon Eisen attempting to take his first big game animal in the Northwest Territories.
Nice shot. Good shot. Go down, go down. Yeah! 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 Get you some, boy! Yeah!
Yeah!
Now are you warm? Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, look at that, hey?
Look at those turned up points. First big game animal. Perfect shot. It doesn't get better than that. Our shot placement. Found a bachelor group of caribou bulls. We were able to get low and come up to within about 245 yards. What happened?
Got him.
Got him. That's about as simple as it gets. You know, we had the wind, a little edgy at first, got it back in our favor as we came around below them along the lake's edge, crawled up to a little high rise. It was an absolute no-brainer which one in that group was a shooter, and he made the shot count. Brandon, this is your first big game animal, right?
That's right.
Okay, it's his first big game animal. Most of us had to start with a fork and horn mule deer or a spike whitetail. Instead, he starts with a big top Central Canadian barren ground caribou here in the Northwest Territories. Congratulations, buddy.
Thanks.
I could tell right away after the shot that Brandon was going to be hooked on hunting for life. In fact, the look on a kid's face after he successfully takes his first big game animal makes it all worthwhile. Well, I spent the rest of the week having a good time going out and hunting with the rest of the clients in camp. Got to watch Dave shoot both of his bulls, and you know, it got down to the last day and the plane wasn't coming to get us until 6 o'clock that night, so my guide Sam Kapelak and I took off on our own little hunting expedition, and sure enough, we found the migration.
Well, we get picked up today by the plane at 5 o'clock this evening. And I told Sam, our guide, I couldn't leave the territories without doing at least a little bit of caribou hunting. We've come out this morning and already seen several groups of cows. We'd moved to a different hunting area to yet a third spike camp to stay in. And as a matter of fact, we're kind of motoring up toward a bull over here. He doesn't look like he's got much for tops. We're going to kind of keep looking around, see what we can locate. And hopefully I'll be able to at least take one caribou. I've got 2 tags, but if I'm lucky, I'll be able to find one good caribou bull to take home with me. Well, folks, here we are in the waning hours, the last day. Our plane comes to get us later, and after a whole week, we finally found the migration out here on the tundra. We've been fighting to get across the big lake through bad weather the last 3-4 days. Haven't been able to make it. We got in here late last night, went to a different spike camp location. Now we're out here this morning, and we have got thousands of caribou around us. They're moving in groups of 20, 30, 40, and they're all moving south. Sam got the spot and scope on another group. Looks like there's a couple of good